All right, so I'm going to let Logan do this introduction on this because he knows a lot more about this than I do, and I'm a huge Maker's Mark fan, so that says a lot.
So this is the Maker's Mark Community Badge. Now, basically what this was this was created as a initiative to help out all the restaurants in Kentucky during COVID. Like many states, they had lockdowns where restaurants could not properly function, so a lot of them suffered. So Maker's Mark decided to do this program, and basically all these bottles they sold, all of the profits went to charity. The Lee Collective?
Yes.
Let me see.
I believe that's what it said.
The Lee Initiative. So all of the restaurants in Kentucky kind of benefited from this and got a little bit of relief. But what this bottle in particular is, there were about, I think it was, there was around like 40 to 60 restaurants that got involved with this, and liquor stores who they threw up their recipe for their private selects. So some private selects with, all the different wood staves. They would take these recipes, they distilled and aged each recipe, aged them all separately, blended them all together, and then rested them again in different oak casks again to marry, and then they married them one final time. So this is like a marriage of between 40 and 60 different private selects. So this is like one of the first small batch private selects that's ever come out. Right. In addition to their special editions, like the special wood finishes for each year.
No,
but
I don't even count those because that's like, I don't even call that a small batch. That's like,
it's not a unique stave.
It's not really different than a private select is.
Yeah, like they use the same 10 staves, but they make bigger batches of it.
Right.
This is like different.
Completely.
Well,
this is a different process than the rest of the stuff they make.
Yeah. So these are all like the standard staves that they use, but they made a small batch out of multiple different recipes. And it's probably the oldest Maker's Mark product because of how many times
just because they have to keep marrying it and letting it sit longer, and naturally, the more you have to do that, the more you're aging it.
So let's see what it comes out to.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Very.
I definitely get caramel on the nose, like a buttered caramel or like a salted, like sea salt caramel.
Like the caramel out of a caramel cream.
Yeah. A little bit salty, so like a sea salt cream chocolate.
Or literally like salted caramel flavored.
Yes.
Other stuff. Yeah.
A little bit of brown sugar to like darken it and add that like mapliness to it.
Don't really get any cherry.
No cherry.
I do get maple though.
I do get vanilla cream on this one though. A little bit of vanilla cream. So yeah, this is more of like a sweeter, desserty, decadent on the nose at least bourbon. Like this one doesn't have any of that Maker's Mark cherry.
Right.
So. Oh, and that rolls through on the taste too.
Wow.
Very sweet up front with like the caramel, the brown sugar. That like sea salt note carries through along with some of the
This is the most caramel forward Makers I've had.
Yeah. There isn't a whole lot of like there isn't a whole lot of spice in this. It has a little bit of spice, like oak spice, but it definitely takes that like chocolate mocha finish on it because I think it actually has the percentage of the staves in there rather than like how many staves in particular are on there.
I believe so. Yes, it does.
Yeah, so they made a percentage of how much each stave contributes. This is definitely dessert bourbon. It's significantly sweeter than a lot of the other Maker's Mark specialty lineups we've had. It's 100%. Not fruity at all. Honestly, this lines up kind of similarly with the first Find Money Good Spirits pick. It's similar, but it's lighter on the front end where that Find Money Good Spirits pick is darker throughout.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this.
And I actually appreciate like the sea salt note and how it adds a little bit of
That's
salinity
really
and
interesting
balance
because I
to it.
can't think of where that comes from.
I don't know either. I think it might be like how the tannins are working in it, but like
Yeah, that would be my guess because that's the only thing I can think of that could explain it.
but normally tannins don't come out in the form of sea salt.
Yeah. Nothing's changed about location, so it's not like this is ocean age. It's not like
No.
I can pick it up naturally like that.
It's starting to get a little bit more spicy as it sits, but I also think that that's part of it being a brand new open bottle.
Right. Almost has a decent viscosity to it.
It does. Like this is definitely like a thicker, slightly
Like
more
it felt like it
oily.
like sat on my tongue for a second. I'm here for this. I like this.
I'm also anxious to see how it goes down the road because I feel like some of the bitterness at the end is going to liven up into more chocolate.
Mm.
Oh, Makers. I was really worried I was never going to get my hands on this because the closest place you could have gone to get a bottle of this was like Philly.
Right. This never showed up in a Fine Wine and Spirits store, right?
No, because the only places that got this were the restaurants that contributed recipes to it. That and the liquor stores that contributed recipes. So unless Fine Wine and Good Spirits is like, hey, we want to be a part of this, here's our recipe, they were never going to get any of
That
this.
would have been really cool if they did that.
Yeah, but I think that they didn't just because it was a Kentucky initiative to help out Kentucky restaurants, so...
Right.
Or like the restaurants that were directly involved with it, which I think there were
You
only
said this
two
is
in PA.
bottle number
4,008
4,008 out of 7,500.
Yeah. There were 7,500 bottles made. I think
And just to show the mass, not the masses, there's only one of them. Oh, it's like, that's like tied. I don't know why. It's this is basically a, it goes through and it actually explains basically what you did about the initiative behind it and what they did, and it has their state profile listed. Created by the community, for the community. Yep. Basically just goes into exactly what you said.
so. Good on you, Maker's Mark. The only complaint I have is that you didn't make this a national initiative and make enough of this that people could, you know, buy across the country. However, that's just me being a petty asshole. This was a great initiative and went to a great cause. And the whiskey
Yeah.
came out pretty damn good.
Yeah. It's funny that this is again proving that I've yet to have a Maker's Mark product that isn't, you know, aside from the regular stuff that tastes the same.
Yeah.
Amazing how drastically things can change with not much difference. Because I'm sure if you looked and you looked at what the state profile breakdown would be in terms of numbers, it probably lines up with a pick I have on that shelf.
Probably.
But
I
there's
mean-
so many different variables that go into it.
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, there was actually a pretty decent variation in how much of each state was in there. I don't remember the numbers off by heart. They're on there right now. But,
Right.
yeah, I mean, if you can get a bottle of this at MSRP, it's totally worth it. Like most other Maker's products, I wouldn't spend over MSRP on it. But that's okay if you can, because, I mean, you can get a private select at MSRP, and it's going to be just the same quality.
Right.
So, I'm glad I got a chance to experience this and contribute to the cause, but
Yeah, for sure. How did you get this again? What did you trade for it?
I
Or
traded
you-
a Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C920 for this.
I think for our taste, that's definitely worth it.
MSRP was totally worth it, and I mean, I have Elijah Craig C920 that I have opened. I do.
All right, you
traded
traded a second one. Right.
Yeah, I traded an unopened one because I walked into a liquor store in Massachusetts and they had like 2 cases of it at MSRP.
Right. But yeah, all in all, it's further proving my point that I've not had a Maker's product I don't like.